right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming today. Really appreciate you guys. You can tell the flurry of activity on the Facebook page of the last month, all the cool stuff we've got going on. I want to start with some thanks. I'll start obviously with Randy. Where's Randy at? Oh, he's on the phone. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate all he's done. He's been awesome, and he's helped me through thick and thin. I mean, the first couple of years we're kind of still figuring this out, and Randy and others, especially Randy, had some great suggestions. It's crazy how I ran into him. I was up fishing at Flaming Gorge, and he was the head chef there at that Browning's Cafe. And he come out and says, "Hey, I've gone to Kodiak and taken some guys, and that's one of my dreams." So we from there we've become really good friends. And then I saw him through the whole process of stressing out on taking that guide for his fishing operation up there at Flaming Gorge. And if you ever want, he's probably the best fishing. Who's gone with Randy up there? Up there, he's probably one of the best guides up there, I think. Yeah, and so now he's turned into a very, very fine operation up there called Flaming Gorge Charters. Okay, and I also want to thank my other guides that are helping me on this trip. Devin, you've been up 3 years. This is your 4th year. This is Devin's dad, and I wanted to have his dad too, but I'm too busy fixing cars and flying planes. And we got Chris Nagel. He's going to be helping the first week group. Mark, I'm going to have Chris work with you guys. Okay, so you guys, this is Chris. Chris is a very experienced fisherman and knows those rivers, and he's going to be awesome. We're glad to have Chris on board. What do we got coming up here?
Skyler.
Oh, Skyler. He all looks studly on me all of a sudden. I also want to thank Josh. Would you stand up, Josh? I think Josh has something to do with this helping us get this thing going. He's built my website. And Ben. Ben, you probably had something to do with it too.
A little bit.
Anybody else? Did Aaron and Joseph help? Josh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I think it's an awesome website. Let's give all these guys a hand. Let's see. There's other guys I can thank. Alan's been my insurance agent for 25 years for my company, and he's been.
Did you get an Emmy award or something?
Yeah.
You gotta stand up and thank everybody.
I know I do. I'm feeling grateful today. In fact, let me tell you something that Randy reminded me of this morning. And Randy will talk to me a little bit more about this, but if you guys have noticed, your preparedness is just so critical to us. And I think, guys, I lived this thing for the last 4, 5, 6 months, thinking about you guys, wanted you to be prepared. And so we instituted the website with a lot of great informational stuff. We got the Facebook page, and we'll talk about that more in just a second. We had the monthly call. Next year they're going to be every other month. We decided that monthly was too often, so the monthly call. We've got this meeting here. So do you think we're interested in your preparedness? Absolutely. And I've been so concentrated on that Randy reminded me of something this morning, and I really appreciated it. And I'll try not to get emotional. He said, "Remember, Sean, through all this, just being up in Kodiak and seeing the beauty is just awesome." And I realize that I've been getting so caught up in your guys' preparedness that I just, even if you don't catch a fish that day, just step back and say, this place it's a really beautiful place. It's gorgeous there. And I was up on the Kenai River, as you guys saw some of the Facebook posts. I thought, this is great, being on the Kenai River, and it's beautiful, but it doesn't hold a candle to Kodiak, how beautiful it is. And so just I'm glad he brought that up. Just reminded me that it's just not all about getting that fish on the end of the line, which is, I'm just so excited about you guys to do. I really am. I can't wait for you guys, your big old first silver on the line. Skyler, remember where you were and what river you were on when you caught your first silver? Don't you remember? Where were you when John F. Kennedy was killed? I mean, who remembers Eric or Devin or some of the guys that have been here, where you were on your very first Buskin River? Chris?
Yeah, the first river was the Buskin.
Buskin? Randy?
I think mine was Menashka. No,
What?
mine was on Pillar.
Pillar?
Yep.
Mine was on Pasag. So never forget that. A lot of fun memories. So, you know, as people ask me about this trip to Alaska, there are lots of different types of trips. I categorize them in two different areas. You've got, you know, people, I went to Alaska. Well, what'd you do? Well, I halibut fished for 5 days, and that's great. We actually can offer that. I've got operations up there that will do 5 days of halibut. And they'll catch some rockfish and maybe some ocean run kings. When we say ocean run, they're not in the rivers yet, obviously. Ocean run kings, silvers, octopus. I don't know if you guys saw my picture of the octopus I caught last year. But then, and our trip's a little bit different trip. And we might not catch as many pounds, because you go halibut fishing for 5 days, you're going to come back with 200 or 300 pounds of halibut, maybe. Okay? But we focus on the rivers with a day of halibut, maybe two if you guys want to do an extra day. And so ours is caters out to the fly fishermen and the spin cast guys who want to fish the rivers and have that experience up close and personal. You're casting. You're doing the one. You're unhooking your fish. You're casting. You're out there right up personal with that fish. You're bleeding them out. Okay. But it's a little bit different than a halibut trip, which is they're fun too. And in fact, I'm going on one in the middle of ours. So, okay. So with that, we've got our own little agenda here. We're going to turn the time over to Devin. Do you want to go up next?
Sure.
Okay. Now, before Devin comes up, I want to emphasize one other thing, and that is, guys, there's two reasons why you've noticed that we've got a really big emphasis on asking your questions where? Facebook. On Facebook. Even Alan texted me the other day. I said, Alan, ask it on Facebook. My good buddy. Ask the question on the Facebook group. I want that to be an active ask and answer. Because your question was other people's answer. Okay, and other people's question. Yeah. And plus, the number two is some of you guys coming up with some answers I didn't think about. That Randy come up with some stuff. Even Tommy, who I've never met, he's up in Kodiak. He lives there. He's been jumping on more and more, helping you guys out. And that's the kind of camaraderie and stuff that we want to develop. Okay, did you get up? Is that my wife on the phone?
Nope, it may have been, but she didn't answer.
You know, she called me. So while you're on the phone, okay. Casey, hey there, buddy. Oh, before I forget, Casey, I think I got an extra pair of waders for you. Somehow I ended up with an extra. What was your size, Casey? Large, long? Extra large, long?
Large, extra long.
Large, extra long. If anybody needs a pair. Okay, I must have double ordered them for you, Casey. Okay. I don't know. You need that, Eric, a large, extra long. Alrighty, Devin, you're up, buddy.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So Sean asked me to go over packing list. I'm not going to go over everything since you grab a copy if you need one, but I just wanted to answer questions about them. That covers just a few things on it. I know we've talked about it on the calls, but the big thing is you don't have to pack a ton of gear. One check bag, because you want to leave room for check bags of fish on your way back. So pack fairly light. We stay in houses that have full washer dryers, so you can wash your clothes and worry about them getting nasty. I love to pack super light, pack just a pair of sweats and then maybe one other pair of pants to wear out maybe around town, and then just wash everything. So on most days, if we're fishing the rivers, the road system, you're a few minutes from the van every day. So you can take all your stuff, you can leave stuff in the van, you don't have to have everything on your back. So there's a couple things you want to have with, obviously, your license and your fishing gear. Most of the river systems were fairly close to a restroom, either a pit toilet or something. But like the Litnick, take some toilet paper with you. It's a good thing to have. So, any questions on gear at all? If you do have a question, put it on Facebook. All right, I'll show you a few things we got, just as we're talking about packing. Through the airport, this is pretty much how most of us run. Just a backpack with your rods. They're super used to it, so you can toss it all in if you've traveled with fishing rods in the past. Pretty simple. So, a couple of things I will just remind everybody of that are vital. A really nice or a very good rain jacket. Some years it rains all the time. Some years it's super hot and sunny. But one that you can throw in and always have on you. One that's quality, that will keep you dry. In terms of where I store my tackling gear while I'm fishing, I've done the vest thing. You can do a vest if you want, if that works for you. I like a pack like this, a chest pack. Super simple, small, keeps it out of the way. But I do take also a backpack with a lot of water. Make sure you've got water. So where I also throw like my bug screen for my head if I need it, some snacks, all that type of stuff. So, other thing that I would say is a really good thing to make sure you remember, some good pliers. I know Sean's got some like hemostats over here and they work, but if you get a really lively fish and you've got those wrapped around your fingers trying to get a hook out of them, sometimes you can flop and that hurts your fingers pretty bad. So a good set of pliers is my recommendation on that.
What about bear spray?
What about bear spray?
Don't take it with you.
You cannot pack bear spray in your gear. You can get it up there. Sean usually has a couple rolling around in the vans.
Do you have a bunch of stuff?
Oh, we had some before.
So he's got a couple. Usually when we go, we make sure one person in our group's got some. But you can buy some up there, by all means. You can pack a weapon if you'd like to take a gun. Sean in the past has never taken one.
Don't want to.
We did our first camping on Litnick last year, so we took one with us that year. It was heavy and we carried it around. So if you want to take one, it's up to you. Yeah, we never got it out. So on this list, bolded polarized glasses. 2 functions on that. Number one, it'll save your eyeballs. If somebody's around you flipping around flies, you don't want to take a hook to the eye. There's a really nasty video or Sean's provided this so nicely on the website. You want to see what happens if you don't have eye protection on. But the big part of that is because it helps you be able to see through the water, be able to identify the fish. I've seen guys sit on the river and just stare because they can't see anything. If you have polarized lenses, you'll be able to identify those fish a lot easier. Some good polarized lenses is a must there. Anything else?
The head net,
Yeah.
is that pretty important to have?
Yes and no. It depends on the year. We had a really bad year on Litnick where we needed head nets. My dad got bit a lot.
Right, Eric?
And had to go end up to the ER because the bugs were so bad.
Okay.
But I would take them. They're teeny.
So that was just on the Litnick.
That was just on the Litnick. On the river
Kodiak
system,
rivers. I think there's constant breeze on Kodiak. It kind of keeps them.
last year on Minoshka they were kind of bad. This is the size of them once you get them, so they're not too hard to throw in.
Okay.
I just place it. I keep it in here, and that way I've got it if I need it. I almost always have some sort of a neck gaiter on, so if they get annoying, I just pull my neck gaiter up. But if they're real bad, then yeah, that head net will save you.
Then Doug just asked, can you get them there? Yes, but Ray's easily gets bought out of stuff. They're not big. You know, it's like a micro sportsman's. And they can get bought out real quick, especially if we bring in 30 dudes and they buy them.
Yep.
Dude, they're going to buy it. They're going to sell out. So.
Exactly. Good question. Anything else on there?
I was just going to say quickly on, you guys talked about firearms. Who wants to bring a firearm? Who's thinking about it? Don't worry about it.
Makes it simple.
I did just post the rules on the Facebook page.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's not that difficult. When you get to Salt Lake, you just have to say, hey, look, I got a firearm in the bag. They give you a piece of paper that you set right on top, zip it into your bag. That's
Just line it in your regular luggage.
yeah.
It doesn't need regular hard case.
But
It's gotta be in a
as
lock.
far as
Lock
the gun
case,
itself
right?
has to be in a locked case, separate from the ammunition.
Yeah.
But they can be in the same bag.
Same
you
bag,
know,
Same
and
bag,
your
but the ammunition
case can
cannot be in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, I just posted a link to all
Good.
those.
Yeah, pretty easy there. Yeah, like Randy was saying, most of the stuff like flies, you can get them now. Ray's does have some, and it's nice to be able to go there and get some for backup or whatnot. If you can get them now, get them now.
Do you have any here that we can buy from you?
We have some. Sean, do you know how many you've got? What are you looking for specifically? The wiggle bugs,
I've got
those
some
from Rainey's
wiggle-
are back ordered.
Yeah, I've
They
got
won't come
some
in
wiggle
before
bugs.
then.
I'm gonna be tying
The other
a
stuff.
ton of wiggle bugs, and I've got strips of foam that I think I've got enough to tie over 100 wiggle bugs. And I'm gonna have it in Kodiak. I'm gonna have my vise, so we'll have wiggle bugs. And you should be able to get away with one a day, maybe.
I'm taking a bunch.
Yeah, and Sean's got the time.
I've got a bunch.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be okay. But yeah, same with spinners and whatnot. Do you still have a bunch that
I've got a bunch
you
of these
made?
spinners that I'll have available up there. I've got to swap out the split rings for some heavier duty ones. The ones I swapped out, I've already sold all those in years past. But I was at Cabela's yesterday, and they've got big number 4 and 5 Met spinners for like $3.50 a piece. They've got Blue Foxes for $4.50 a piece. Doug just went online to Kodiak Custom Tackle. What were those, Doug? About $5-6 a piece?
$6 a piece.
$6 a piece for the
For-
skirted
for what?
spinners.
Okay, because that's what I really need.
And for silvers, you want like size 4 to 5. 5's on the bigger side, so maybe you want to throw those in the ocean when you really want the weight. You whip that sucker out there. But in the rivers, size 4 is just fine.
Good deal.
Pink, orange, chartreuse, purple. Those are your colors.
That's what he said yesterday. I talked to the guy. He said red,
Red?
orange, and pink.
There you go.
Were the best colors.
Hey, you'll be seeing a lot of pink in your tackle for sure. Just one or two other things real quick. Licenses. Buy them online. Super simple. I know there was a post we put up on Facebook about buying them online. But yes, if your flight gets in late, Raise is closed, so we won't be able to buy them in person there. So you can go online. It's really easy. You can download it to your phone and print off a hard copy, stick it in a Ziploc or something so you can always have it in your waders. Yeah, other than that, I think we're pretty much taken care of. Any other questions on packing gear, anything like that? Good deal.
Okay, and with the license, make sure on the day you go out on your halibut trip, take it out of your waders, put it in your pocket. Because they record them.
Yeah.
The Alaska state requires recording in the books. So you will be the one to postpone the trip if you don't have your license on the halibut.
I get laughed at, embarrassed,
That's
and
me.
forget it.
King stamp, real quick on that one.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need to buy your king stamp up front because the kings have been running really well. You may save you $75.
20
20,
for the
whatever it
King
is.
Sam stamp.
King salmon for a single day.
Because he'll tell you right on the boat in the morning, he'll say, hey, look, we've been catching a bunch of kings. Some of you ought to buy some king stamps. And they can sell them right on the boat. So I hope we ought.
What they do is they just had us go online. They used to
And do
sell
it.
them right on the boat, but now we just go online and
You
buy
go on
them.
your phone
Buy it
and
on your
click that.
phone. Okay.
But we don't need them if we're just fishing the river.
Nope.
No.
I wish.
You could. I hooked into a later on king
Did
last
you?
year. He took my fly and really easily, but
He was
That's
gone.
right.
he was gone.
Chris has had
It was exciting.
the only one to catch a king in the salmon net.
It was exciting. Well, it lasted about 10-15 seconds.
Do you guys know what the limits are for silvers? It's 2 a day. On the road system. Now that there's little nuances that I'll share. What?
Well, that was one of the questions I had was, when you start fishing, do you keep the first 2 you catch and?
I do. If it's like hot and heavy and there's tons of fish around, I might get selective, but no, just take your fish. Now that kind of leads into the next thing I was going to talk about. Remember how Sean was saying, sit back, enjoy the ride, don't get so freaking uptight about catching the fish. Silvers are not easy to catch. I mean, you're going to work for them, but you got all day to catch your 2 fish. So if you snag a fish and you bring him to the bank, trust me, I know you're going to be like, oh, that's really close. I think I could keep that one, you know. No, just unhook that sucker, kick him back in the water. You'll get your 2 fish. You know, we got lots of rivers to choose from. You got 2 incoming tides each day we'll be fishing. You'll get your fish. So just be patient about it. It's only 2, but you can catch and release as many as you want. And trust me, you're gonna snag a lot of fish that you will have to release.
What about the pink?
Yeah, and if you feel really frisky, you can catch 1,000,000 pinks in a day. But after about the 5th pink, you'll be like taking your fly out of the water so he doesn't eat it. Flies, the pinks are annoying. Anyway,
And you can keep the fresh ones.
and you can keep fresh ones.
pinks.
Yep, if that's what you want to do, you know, you can take those to the processor and they'll fillet them out for you.
For smoking.
Up until the 15th of September, it's 2 fish, state or road system wide. After the 15th of September, it drops to 1 fish is the limit. But then there's 2 other rivers, which are hatchery rivers, Menashka, Pillar. Well, there's a few of them. Last year they kicked in a couple others too. They kicked in the American,
Like Menashka Bay, I think, what had it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mill Bay.
Mill Bay, and American.
Not, well,
No, last year they
because there was
kicked.
so many, right?
Last year they kicked the American in. So what we're trying to say is, you can still get your 2 fish a day after September 15th, but you have to get them on separate rivers, because certain rivers are meant for harvest, because they plant millions and millions of eggs in there intentionally for those fish to come back and be caught. So you just have to fish one river, grab one, and then go to a different section and get your other. So you still get your 2 fish a day. But keep in mind, your fish quantities, like that you're bringing home, that's going to come from Litnik, and that's going to come from your ocean trip, ocean day. I would say each person probably averages 60 to 70 pounds of fish on the ocean trip. I would say that's pretty close, wouldn't you?
I think it's about high to me.
You think high?
Yeah.
Maybe 50.
Because of, yeah.
But that's where the bulk of your fish is coming, is the day you go out on the ocean for your charter boat. So
Yeah, right.
if that changes anybody's mind regarding whether you want to go on a charter boat, talk to Sean. And then on the ocean itself, on the charter, a lot of times we get into salmon and it's 5 on the ocean. So, and that's the same thing as Litnik. Litnik is 5 salmon per day. So when we go over there on that 2-day trip, you're bringing home 10 silvers. A lot of fish. Trust me, it's a lot of fish.
Is there a possession limit total?
Nope. No possession limit, so you can do your daily every single day, based on wherever you're at.
Question on bringing home the fish. You said you average about 2 boxes of salmon if you catch.
I would say 2 boxes, but it's gonna be mixed, because you're gonna be out on the ocean, so you're gonna get your halibut,
Well, we're not gonna
rockfish.
do an ocean trip. We're gonna stay on the river.
Then what we need you guys to do is, me and Sean will stack you guys with extra fish. What do you think about that, Sean?
What? So what's that short as special?
He's wondering, because they're not doing the ocean trip. You're doing the Litnik trip,
Yeah.
so you're gonna have plenty of salmon. I would say you're probably, without the ocean trip, you figure maybe 7 pounds on a good silver you're gonna pull.
Yeah.
So if each were to pull 10 of those, I mean, right there, there's 70 pounds of
And
fillets
they
right
box them
there.
in 50-pound.
And they box them in 50-pound boxes.
49.5.
And then you grab your couple fish on the road system. So yeah, you're looking at potential of 100, close to 100 pounds, as long as you get your limits. Now that's another thing. On the Litnik, you guys, it's phenomenal. The runs are great, but every year's different. Some years it's super easy, some years it's hard. Get your fish at Litnik. They're there, they're plentiful. I had a group last year that the guys were just like nonchalant, just fish everywhere, having a good time. Well, time came and 4 or 5 of them didn't have their limits. And then at the end of the trip, they're like, oh man, I didn't end up as much fish as I thought. And it's like, well, yeah, you're at the Litnik, man. Litnik is a meat harvest. It's the coolest place you've ever been on the planet, trust me. If somebody can tell me you've been somewhere cooler when it's done, I'll give you $100. But it's about loading up. That's where we get our bulk of our salmon to take home.
I
Okay?
just have to tell you that and you give me $100?
No. You have to prove it. But yeah, on the ocean trip and at Litnick, it's 5 fish per day. So it's plentiful. Have you guys ever seen the pictures where I'm going through the river and I've got like 75 salmon behind me? Do you remember that picture? Yeah, and then I had to fillet every one of those. And we don't have to do that this year, which is really cool. And I'm going to talk about the Litnick trip later on. Play by the rules. Remember I said, if it's a snagged fish, unhook that sucker. If you want to take a great picture with it, enjoy it, whatever, let it go. Let it go. Last year, we've had a couple run-ins with Fish and Game. They're sneaky.
And they're no bullshit, those guys.
No, it's clean cut, dry. They don't throw a fit about it, but they don't cut you slack. It's just like, here you go, done, boom, move on with life. $75 ticket for a snagged fish. They'll take the fish from you. You can keep fishing. It's not it's just a slap on the wrist and you move on with life, but it's $75. And they will give it to you, trust me. They're sneaky. Last year we had a woman that was fishing with Sean's group down on the Olds River. There was a fish cop. And then another day on the Menashka River, we're sitting there fishing. And then some kid next to me is like, hey, officer so-and-so. And that guy was in plain clothes standing right next to me. And he was like, hey, you blew my cover, man. He was mad at him. But he's the wrestling coach in town too. But they'll come, they'll fish amongst you like normal people. So it's not worth it. Unless you like spending $75 tickets, go ahead. And also we're trying to, Sean's been doing this a lot longer than me, but I'm at year 5 or 6, I can't remember. We have a really good relationship with the fish cops up there. And I want to make sure it stays that way, so we need to stay respectable to them. We need to obey the laws. We want them to look at K3F, Kodiak Fishing for Friends, as an organization that they do not have to worry about. That when they see our groups, they're like, okay, those guys are law-abiding citizens. They're doing what they should be doing. That's what we need. That's the image we're trying to portray. So that as we're going, take that one. So as years go forward, they know, hey, those groups, easy to deal with. Keep your license on you, Ziploc in your waders, bring it for the halibut trip. Has everybody got your licenses already? Yeah?
They send out a hard copy, right?
I think you print it. I printed mine.
You just print that?
Yeah.
Prints with like a species little list in the bottom
Yeah.
and stuff.
Okay.
So,
Print that PDF that they send.
yeah, exactly. That's what I did on mine.
I wish they could get up to date and have an app, but you could have it like Utah does.
I tried to find it.
Yeah, there's not. And I think that's the.
Utah's app is like top notch.
It
There's
is.
a lot of people that are copying it because it's a great app.
One last thing, fish cops, talking about the fish cops, they are out and about, they're gonna be checking your licenses. They might check you 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a week, especially if we're fishing some of the more popular rivers. Just show it to them each time. Don't tell them that, you checked me yesterday, just provide it. They knew me by name last year. They got a new female down there and she was super nice. She's like, hey Randy, I need to check your license again. And it's okay, sounds good.
Do you need your ID with that?
No, just your license.
They are no BS though. My cousin was joking around with the fish cop about me catching too many, and he started grilling me pretty good.
Yeah, and that was the next thing. Don't spill your guts to the fish cops, because what are they doing after they finish with you? They're going right down to the next group. And the next group's going to say, hey, where's all the fish been? Oh, well, those guys right up there just told me that Menashka's going off. And then you're going to go to Menashka and you're going to have everybody down there. So don't share a ton of information with them. Be cordial, be nice, do what they say, but just kind of keep to yourself. If they ask questions, of course, answer them, but try to keep some certain stuff kind of under the cuff, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? All right. Sean's going to talk about liability forms.
Guys, Brett Cape donated these, so if you guys didn't grab any from him yet, these are for the taking. There's from forceps, some little tweezers, and you never know. These are recycled. He sterilizes them. That they could have saved somebody's heart or life or something. So there you go. Okay. I think we got.
Some stupid kid.
I just want to back up what Randy just said about the fish cops. Just hand them your paperwork. If they ask you a question, answer. You don't even have to volunteer what group you're with or anything like that. Just hand them your paperwork and you're good.
All we want to do is check it.
Yeah. So, okay. I also wanted to, I forgot to say something about Josh. You guys need a website. Big Red Jelly. I forgot the name of the company. Okay. Big Red Jelly. I would use them again. Okay. They do a good job. Okay. I was going to show you this little thing. Anybody bring your polarized glasses with you today? We're going to check them. Can you see what that says? What does that say? Can you read? Anybody read that?
I do have some, but I didn't bring them with me.
What does that say?
Says Duo.
There you go. So if you got your polarized glasses, you can read that. Okay. If you don't, then you can't read that. I'll take that with me. As you're coming off the plane, you have your glasses on, because if you're not, you're going to go get some. All right.
Is there a color of lens that you think works best out there?
I just use the amber.
Yeah.
Amber.
Amber. That's what I got. Yeah, it works real well.
So guys, liability forms on the website. There's some forms that really want you to print out and use. You've got the informational page. That's like your Kodiak Bible right there. And we just updated it. And the packing list we updated. And there's a liability form we're just starting this year. Ellen helped us put that together. I still don't have everyone's. Who has not sent me their liability form? Okay.
I got it with you today. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
You just tell them you're not responsible if they don't give it to you.
Yeah. The other forms we have on there is an application. So Randy and Chris and Devin had an awesome idea. Here's the food. We are next year, we're going to build on the website. Did you see that? Okay. We're going to build on the website. In order for you to be part of the trip, you have to register online, right on the website instead of a paper. And what that accomplishes is it gets you into the website. I had to call just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Oh yeah, there you go.
I might need to take a break.
We'll take a break here just a minute. I had to call 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay, where's the packing list? Well, they're on the website. Well, you have a website? I have sent emails and Facebook. And I'm sorry.
Where should we ask questions at? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to tell you,
I have a question.
I am trying to be so patient, but I got off on that just a little bit. And that's my bad. I got to be the ultimate in patience, but I lost it a little bit. I have tried so hard here. I really am.
No, you're doing
I'm trying
great.
so hard. What he said, you guys have a website? Okay. So, and then the Kodiak Bible, we just barely updated on that. So, I think that's it for that. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go to the next one.
I'll put it on the Facebook, but earlier you said if we got that Alaska
Credit card.
Oh,
That was your next thing right there.
that was right there?
Number 4.
Let's talk about
That's
it.
you.
Yeah.
Talk about
Okay,
that.
guys, that
Saves us
credit
some
card
money
is
on
the
the-
coolest thing ever. There's so many things that I'm going to talk about next year.
Hey, I'm gonna talk about it because
You
I
can
just
talk
got
about
my
it.
card last week.
Tell me your part.
I just got my card last week. I think I've already spent like $1,000 on it. Because if you spend $2,000 in the first 90 days, you get 40,000 sky miles, which is worth a flight. So just right there is worth the whole deal. And
Right there.
And also when you check in, everybody that's on your group reservation with that card gets a free bag.
So we can check in with the card.
Yep.
Okay.
The only negative about that card, and I'll tell you right now, it's got a $75 yearly service fee. But you're gonna get that back immediately if everybody's you're getting free bags. You're getting your free bags, and then like I said, if you spend $2,000 in the first 90 days, you get 40,000 sky mile bonus. Done. That's a flight right there. So I got one. That's really it.
This is the lady that she doesn't want me to say anything, but she's making me
humble.
food. She's gonna be missing me for 6 weeks, and she supports my habit.
Party with that.
Let's get ready. And I'll hear about it later. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
You
Andy.
brought 7 awesome children and a lot of grandchildren, so it's been great. Okay, the other benefits. Did you guys talk about the baggage?
Yep.
Okay, talked about. So just to verify,
And coming back.
And coming back.
and
So
coming
it's
back.
So that right there is $70. That covers
Yeah.
your yearly fee. Just
So-
those 2 baggages.
So Lee, if he gets his, and the people on his confirmation code get that same benefit. If you're flying at the same time, even you don't get the same benefit if it's not the same confirmation code. Okay.
And I got an
How do we-
extra card for my wife's name because she's flying up later with Riley. That way she can use a card for that confirmation code and they get it.
Exactly. And the other thing you get is you get 1 companion fare a year.
Oh, at like $129.
Yeah. So if it costs you $900 to fly somewhere, okay, it's $129 for the companion fare. That's just to pay the fees and taxes that you have to pay anyway. Okay.
Yeah, so if you get your 40,000 Sky Mile bonus in the 3 months, plus the companion fare, you can do 2 round trip tickets for $129.
If you guys can find the post I put on Facebook about 3 or 4 months ago, it's way back there. It's at he's giving you
Considering
40.
Sean likes to post.
You get 42,000 points if you want those extra 2. Now the other benefit to you, those are coming back next year. To say, Sean, I've got my 40,000 points. It'll save you $500. If you book your own flight to Kodiak, then you take $500 off your trip. Okay? And so that'll save your money for next year for it to go. Okay? So you talked the bags, the companion airfare. I mean, it's a good gig to get the credit card. And if you own a business, so right now I pay all my asphalt, my crack seal, my seal coat. I tell my office staff, everything you can pay, use a credit card. And I think I'm getting ready to book all you guys' trips next year. I can't do it till November. You cannot book a trip till 300 days before you actually fly. I don't know if you guys knew that. But as soon as November hits, I want to be booking flights. That's why I'm anal about getting you guys booked early, because I can get you the best flights. Those guys who wait till March, April, May, it costs me as much as $30,000 and $40,000. Right now, I can get them in November. I'll be able to get them for $25,000. That's the cheapest. That's the cheapest you can book your flight to Kodiak.
Saying
It's $25,000 if you get it early enough. If you get it early enough. That's why I'm so anxious about you guys getting that done. So, okay. Any questions about the credit card? Okay, why don't we take a quick break? You guys been back there, grab some food. I'll pause the phone.
We'll be working with Lucas.
Be right there, you guys.
Lucas is going to be providing hopefully a couple cots that'll be out on the rear deck of the boat, as well as shelter, because the chances of raining are high. Yeah, that's an understatement for Kodiak. It rains. Although
Plan on it. We've been pretty lucky.
2 years ago, it was 75 to 80 degrees every day and not a lick of rain. That's not good. We need rain to fill these rivers up so these fish will come in. But we did well because we fished in the salt the whole time.
Yeah.
The fish were just stacked up in the mouths.
We find them. We have a way to find these. Remember?
We'll find
no
them.
rain, a lot of rain. We find them.
So that's the sleeping accommodations. If you want to bring, a packable blanket or something you can shove in your pack, I don't care. We can leave most of the stuff on the boat. Food, we will provide the food. Sean, is Kodiak providing the food, or
No,
are
they-
we as a group getting food together?
You guys as a group, get your food together.
Yeah,
and,
so
and he will help. He'll help cook it.
and we're gonna have salmon. A lot of times we do salmon dinners on the Litnick, so we'll just take 1 or 2 of the fresh salmon, rip some fillets off.
Oh,
We'll take
awesome.
all the seasonings, and we'll do fresh salmon that night on the boat.
We cooked it on fires.
Oh my
last year.
gosh,
It was
forget
so
about it.
good.
It was amazing. And then we'll usually take like those rice-a-ronies or something like that and do like a rice pilaf with the salmon. It's really, really good. So that's kind of what we planned for the meals up there. Sean, make a note. We need to make sure we have a couple things of water on the boat each time.
Yeah.
Like a couple
We'll provide water. We'll get some big
yeah.
packs like you got at Costco.
And then as far as meals, again, we'll provide some breakfast. It sounds like we will be there for a lunch, a dinner, a breakfast, and then maybe eating lunch as we're heading in the next day. And it'll kind of switch vice versa on a few. But as a group, individually, we'll discuss and plan our food ahead of time and make sure we have it there.
The blueberry granola Mountain House is a great cold breakfast.
There you go.
It's easy, you don't have to cook it, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and I highly suggest you get them here if you're going to take mountain houses. They're hard to come by there and they're a little more expensive. So, be careful on the Litnik trip, guys. Litnik is not a long river system. It's pretty wide. It gets a massive tide. Pay attention to the water levels. A lot of times when you're fishing a bar, you'll have a sandbar and you got a bunch of salmon out in front of you and you're focused. And all of a sudden, before you know it, the water's up to your what's it. And then you're focusing. And then before you know it, you got water all the way up to your chest.
And you're standing in the shallow.
And you're standing in the shallowest part of the river and you got to get off the river. Okay?
So we talk about what happened.
Yes, I'm going to tell them right now. We just about had somebody die on us.
If somebody didn't grab him.
It was an older gentleman, and we were fishing a certain section, and it wasn't even a tidal section, this one. It came up quite a bit, so it was tidal, but not kind of how the previous example. But the river's kind of snotty up in this one area. And I'll warn you guys in the area, so you're really careful with your footing. And he just wasn't paying attention, man. He was just fishing silvers, and it came up on him, and he was moving around out there. I could see him moving, and he was okay. Well, he slipped and went down. Filled his waders, didn't have a safety belt. Mandatory. Does everybody have a safety belt with your waders? Do you know what it's for?
Keep water out.
It keeps water
I
out.
actually did not realize that.
Yes, mandatory.
It's not for comfort.
Okay?
I thought it was keep it so bad.
If you have a backpack on you, you can use that as if you have the waist backpacks. You want that sucker tight. It's usually spandex and it flexes. But the point of that is so if you go in, you limit the amount of water into the bottom of your boots. Now this gentleman went in. The river's slick. I'm across the river. I'm only from here to that last pole across the river from him, and I'm watching him, but I can't get to him. It's a 15-foot hole by that time. I can't get across to him. There's 2 or 3 other guys on the river. It was Mark Bench's group. Mark was up the river, and I started yelling at Mark. I'm like, Mark, get over here. And he comes running down. Old man had gone under the river 3 times. He had exhausted himself 100%. He had nothing left. And right when Mark reached down and grabbed him, that was his last time going under the river, and he would have been gone. So be careful with the tides. They're not a joke. Alaska has the largest tides in the world, sometimes up to 17, sometimes up to 20 to 22 feet, depending if you're there at the right cycle. You guys, it's amazing to watch these rivers. It is literally a tidal wave of water just rushing up. And it can catch you with your pants down. So that's all I'll say about that.
What's crazy is I was out there the second day with him, and he did it again.
He did.
He didn't fall, man.
He just wasn't paying
I
attention.
just said, Drew, get out of the river. It was getting up the hair on him.
Yeah, it was Mark Bench's group. And worst case scenario, too. We had a little bit of a storm system come in that day. And at that time, we were flying planes in. The plane couldn't get in there and get us. We thought there was a potential that we were going to have to spend the night on the river. So we were trying to build a fire for this guy to warm him up. It was worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Just be careful. You don't want to fall. If you fall, get your butt out of the river, strip down. I don't care if you're running around butt naked on the beach. strip down, get everything dried out.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Really quick, Ben Weber brought up, he just asked me really quick, and I just want to bring this up. So the spin cast guys, he found this Tough Line XP. There's different brands of that braided line. This is what you'll put on your spin cast, and then 30 feet of either 20 or 25 or 30 pound monofilament right there. Okay,
This is what I use for both my son's spin rod, and I use it for my leader for my fly rods.
20 pound?
20 pound P line.
This is what braided line looks like. It's a green. Okay, so now, if you take braided line, you cannot use standard nippers. It won't cut it very well. Unless you have to. Who's tried that? I have. You have to use the scissor kind. Okay, get the scissor kind, and I put it up on Facebook. Okay, that's a really good brand to get. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you bringing that up. Before I forget, guys, we are going to have a drawing. We've got some shirts and hats and other gear. I'm going to talk about two things really quick. I know that he's packing lists. Guys, this is part of your fundamental equipment right there. You've got pliers. Sometimes those hooks get in those silver salmon so solid. Just a little forceps that doesn't work very good. Like Devin said in one of the posts, those little forceps sometimes just will not work on these big heavy silver. That hook's in there, you'll actually hurt your knuckles, right? Trying to twist that thing. These pliers are good. These have standard fingernail type nippers. Okay. I love to take a hook sharpener. After about a half hour to an hour, and you're dragging that along the bottom sometimes, so I'll just run that hook sharpener, a hook across that sharpener a couple times. How do you tell if your hook is sharp enough? Yeah, run along your fingernail. Thank you, Ryan. And if it scratches into it and digs into it, then it's sharp enough. But if you just pull it across, you're not going to catch as many fish. You can still catch them, but it's sometimes that extra sharpness by being able to dig into your fingernail really helps.
Silvers have really tough mouths.
They do.
They're ridiculously
They do.
bony.
Yeah. They are. Thank you. What else is this? It looks like looks like a lanyard with a ring on it. We're going to give a couple of these away. We'll talk about more of that stuff a little bit later. Okay, what's next? Fish processing. So guys, we're going to try a new fish processor this year. I've been using them. I used them in October when I went up. I used them on this last trip. The guy's name is Ruben. Heck of a nice guy. We're going to try it. I think we're going to get better service. I mean, the other guys treated me pretty good, but they didn't treat my guys. I heard a lot of horror stories. So we're not going to... There's one little caveat to this that might be a challenge. Is that your halibut, your halibut guide. They know that we want to... They have a hard time backing their boat in to get to these guys, but they've been doing it for me, and I think they'll continue to do it for me. It's a little bit of a tight way to get in there. There might be a window where they still might have to take the halibut to the old processor, which means we'll have to, as soon as they get the halibut done, don't put it in a box or anything, just leave it in the sack. We'll take it over to Wild. It's called Wild Source. Okay, and what have I made note? Okay. So, how often do you take your fish into Wild Source? Every day, or as soon as you can. If you fish at night, which we all will, and this will happen. So, how do you take care of your fish? Other than the guys who've been before, what do you got to do? Okay, you guys have been before. If you catch fish at night, what do you got to do? So you take it in the next day.
Overnight, in the cooler, in the bag.
In the cooler, on ice. Now I'm going to work it out with Wild Source. They got these big blue bins to always have ice for you. So you can go buy it nice at night and throw it in there if you want to, if you can. If you can't get it there, go to Safeway or Walmart and they'll have ice. But do not let your fish sit overnight without having ice on it. Do we got them? Are we getting the fish? Are we getting the fish ourselves? No. They don't. They hate it when you do that because they have the cool machines that are designed to fillet your fish it leaves the guts in it. It's harder for it to work. Or they might even have to do it by hand and they don't want to do that. Okay? The cool thing about the new processor, they have a machine that takes the pin bones out of your fish.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
Wow.
Okay, they'll take that pin bone out. They charge it $2 a pound. I think Seafood Island has actually increased it to $2.40 a pound this year. Okay, so these guys are still $2 a pound is what I've worked out with them. My only word, and I'm going to sit down with them this year because because they're still kind of small. They have
We're gonna give them growing pains this year.
Yeah,
Just
we
be
are.
prepared for it, 'cause I don't think he realizes how much fish is coming at him. But
I've told him.
It'll be good for him.
Yeah.
It'll be good for him.
The one thing that the Island Seafood did do is a very good record keeping. I mean, they did a pretty good job. This guy was keeping it all up here for me. No. You got to write this on paper. Make sure everybody gets there straight, okay? And anyway, I mean, the first time I drove up there, he walked out to me and says, "How can I help you?" And I thought that was awesome. You don't get that. We didn't get that with the other. The other guys are just big. They're the biggest game in town for the sport fishermen, and they needed some competition. Okay, this next topic is a little bit. Proper care of catching fish. Okay, you catch your fish. What's the steps? You get your fish on shore. What's the next thing you do? Conk with a shillelagh stick or a rock. Okay, I mean, I have shillelagh sticks. They're just extra something I don't want to carry. I just grab a rock. Actually, my pliers are heavy duty pliers. I just use my pliers and tap it on the head a couple times. How can you tell when your fish? There's one way to tell when you've shocked your fish into submission. The eyes go. Okay, they just go like this, and then you know you've got it conked, or they start moving. But you don't want to kill them. You're not killing them yet. Okay, so what's the next step? No, not yet. You gotta take a picture. Gotta take a picture, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. Heck, I'll talk about it right now. So, guys, conk them out. I am one of the fun things I enjoy doing. These guys who've been before is we'll make a memory video. Devin, tell me that you've watched your memory video more than 5 times. I hope. Okay.
6 times.
6 times? Okay. I love making these memory videos for you guys. You know, it's I am a videographer. I'm a video editor. You know, and the other thing too is if I'm going to set up a Google Drive for each of the heads of the group. Josh for you, and Lee for you. So if at the end of the trip, if you have an iPhone, we'll just airdrop your pictures to me. But if you don't have an iPhone, I'm going to send you a Google Drive. Just upload your pictures in there and your videos. And if I see a vertical one, unless it's really, really, really cool, I probably won't use it. Always horizontal. And remind each other. It's so tendency. Okay, Paul has a big old fish on. Okay? And which one's Paul? Right here. Yeah, I got the right Paul. And he's got a big old fish on, a halibut, and he's working at it. Somebody get their videotape. Okay, that's where Mark comes at. Mark, turn it sideways. Sean won't use it. Okay. I know I'm kind of anal about that, but it just works so much better in the video. Okay. Take a minute once you conk your fish out. Just set it up. Set it up. Get in the sun. If you're what's your face going to look like? If Alan's taking the picture and the sun's behind me, it's going to be black.
Yeah.
Put the sun in your back.
Yeah. Get in the front. On the front.
You're taking the picture you wanted to take.
Oh, the picture taker.
Yeah.
The picture taker. We knew what you meant, Randy.
I knew what I meant.
And who knows what rule of third is?
Split your screen.
What's the rule of third, Devin?
I orient your picture, you cut the seam in threes, and
Yeah. I like to push the fisherman in the left or the right third of your picture. Don't put them right in the middle. Now, I'm not as anal of that. If you get, I'll get a lot of pictures of them right in the middle. But it's cool to have you in the picture right there holding the fish with a little bit of a trees or a bear right next to you. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, right.
Okay, use a rule called a rule of third. Videotape. Hold it really still and move slowly. Okay. Okay, and we'll make you an awesome picture. Okay. Anybody else know anything about my? What am I not saying about pictures? Am I getting everything?
Take a lot of them.
Take a lot of them. Thank you. And I like them better if someone's got a hold. I like them more of coming down, coming up. Randy's got a hold. Randy showed me this hold. I love that. You see a lot of Randy. This is a fish. You know, this is one standard hold like this. But I love the hold where you actually hold the head out like that, and you got your hand underneath, grabbing underneath. If you have a picture like this, you see too many fingers. So kind of grab it underneath, and then hold it back here. And you guys have seen Randy's pictures like that?
Yeah.
I started doing it. I thought it looked really cool. Then he's got that big old king salmon above his head like that. If you're going to release a fish, do not touch his gills. Okay? I still see people do that. You know, that's like someone reaching in your lungs with your hand and rubbing your hands around on your lungs. And okay, go live. Do not put your hands in the gills. If you're going to release it, the proper way is you bring it to the shore. If you can, try not to drag it up on shore, but take the hook out and then release it. Okay. So take your pictures. After you take your pictures, then what do?
Then you go.
Then you gill it. There's two
Take
ways.
your pictures quick, because the whole point of cutting the gills is you want that heartbeat. You want to see that blood start pouring.
Yep.
And if you take pictures for 10 minutes, that fish is already dead. It's
Yep.
not going to bleed a fish.
And you'll see that blood pumping out, and that's what we want. That's what we want.
Put that fish in the water and shake him.
Yeah.
And get those muscles firing, and that'll force that blood out as well.
There's two ways to do it. I've done them both ways. You reach up with your fingers and just gill them, but then I end up with a bunch of Band-Aids at the end of my trip.
Get a knife.
It's just easy to. Who's got a knife handy? Oh, I got right here.
Just even the smallest pocket knife.
You take your knife and I'll lift the gill up, the gill plate on the outside. I'll lift it up, reach in, and just one slice. All you have to do, one slice across the gill rakes. Okay, and then turn it over. Do the other side.
And
Okay.
this is actually extremely important. Like your fish quality, if you don't do this, will be poor. It's super easy to do, but these couple 2-3 steps will make the difference in bringing home Class A salmon and Class C.
And talking about fish quality, guys, is the other reason we really like the boat idea and the Litnick is before we would, we'd gill them, but we'd flay them right there, and then we'd pack them in this big pack with like 7,500 pounds of fish. We got all that slime already deteriorating the fillets. There's no other way. We can't do it any other way. You can't take whole fish on the plane. The float plane is cool. It really is. But we always had the problem with degrading the fish as soon as you catch them and we flay them. That has always been a problem, but there's nothing else we can do. This way we'll bring our whole fish, throw them right on the ice or right on the boat. Just put them on your stringer, drag them, you'll put them right on the boat. Okay? On ice. And then we'll get them right to the processor that way. Any other questions on?
You'll be around to give us instructions a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Help us out first time.
Fish, guys, everybody got to get a fish stringer.
Yeah.
Everybody, each person's got to have their own fish stringer. It's a yellow, I like the yellow one's the best.
Amazon has a 550-pound paracord one for like $7 or $8.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, I just got one
Wow, okay.
on Amazon. Just order on.
Do not buy the fish stringer that's got like the trout hooks on them. They don't work. One of my nephew brought one like that I got on. I said, what? That's no fish. They won't work for silvers.
Doug just brought up an interesting point that I thought everybody might want to know.
Okay.
Like on the Litnick trip, we're going to be throwing 75, 80, up to 90 fish in the boat for those couple days. There's no real way to separate your fish out. Everybody's fish are just kind of going to go in the pot together and go to the processor. So everybody take care of your fish. That way, one guy isn't getting an inferior grade fish. Does that make sense? Because you're all
Good point.
you're all going to be sharing them. But Eric said if you go out on the charter boat and you catch one really cool fish, like a big yellow eye or something special, you can request that go on your ticket because that's the fish you caught. But when it comes to like turning in salmon at the end of the day, it's all just going into a pot and being split amongst the tickets, however you.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is the sensitive issue because we've talked about this, guys. There's some guys I've seen in a group that they'll fish all day, and that's great. There's some guys that don't fish all day, and that's fine too. This is their trip; they can do what they want. Okay, and there's some people. If they're not a family member, it's not a problem. But last year we had a couple that they're not family member, and they just didn't fish as hard as the other guys. And you guys have to decide to discuss that in advance, how you want to divide that up. Okay? Because I felt bad them dividing fish with someone who fished maybe a third of the time. Okay? Hey, Tim, everybody come say hi to Tim Larson. This is the guy that taught me how to fly fish right here. Give him a hand. Okay. Yeah, Tim, we can share a few stories about how he taught me how to fly fish.
You want to go there?
I was on a float tube. I dropped my rod in the bottom of the lake, but unfortunately I had the fly in my hand, but everything else. And guess what? When you start pulling that thing, what else comes with it? The line, all the backing. And I was in weed bed, and I had that stuff scattered all over in the weed bed. And it took us 45 minutes once I finally got my rod back up. And then besides that, I dropped one of my float fins, and I was going in the circles trying to figure out how to get one. So not only was I going like this, he looked, what in the HE250 you doing over there? And he got all that line all over the weed beds and everything. It was great.
Silly screen, you know?
That was silly party screen all over that. That was, but anyway.
Stuck with only one fin.
Well, but he also ties some really cool bugs, guys. I've caught more trout on a bug he ties. That he needs to market it. It's just awesome. It's called the green beadhead crawdad pattern, and I've caught I've caught probably hundreds and hundreds of trout on that, huh, Tim? Okay. Any questions on pictures, meat processing? Okay, so at the end of the trip, we'll line up with the processor to have your box all ready to go. You don't have, okay, we get there 2 hours before. The airport is literally 10 minutes away. So we'll pick it up an hour or 2 hours, hour and a half before, pick it up, and we head to the airport. So that's nice. They take care. You know, I've had a lot of people, hey, let's just bring our own shrink wrap machine and we find a freezer. And I did that one time, and I'll never do it again. It's so much nicer to pay the extra money to let them do it. And so you're $2 a pound. That's outgoing weight. Oh, I forgot to say that. Everybody understand that? That's outgoing weight. That's not incoming weight. Some of the processors charge you that. Charge like $10 a pound incoming weight. Outgoing weight. Your box is going to be $15. Your liner, it's going to be another $10. Some of these companies put in like an aluminum liner. What would you call that? It's a foil to help keep the cold in. You're fine up to 24 hours. I've had fish sit in that thing for 24 hours on a plane, getting home, whatever reason, and it's still fine. If your fish is still just becomes slightly soft before you get home, you're gonna be. I've never had anybody's completely. What do they call it? Completely defrost. Is anybody? Eric, have you guys? No problem, huh? Okay. Any questions? Let's go to the next one.
All right. So the next topic is bears, and
Move a little closer, Chris. They want to see up there. They
Okay.
want to see that berry face.
so the bears. You will see bears, especially on the Buskin.
They've got that. Tommy said they've got a sow and 3 cubs on it right now.
Right. So it's kind of a surreal experience. Pretty exciting. I was personally a little nervous about bears before I went up. First fishing game person I saw, I was like, hey, tell me what to do about bears. And the number one thing that they said is just show them respect and give them space. Don't try to take their fishing hole. If they want your fishing hole, move out of their way. So always give them an out and you won't have a problem. So if you got a group of 6 people, don't surround them, just always give them a way out. And that's the biggest and number one thing that you can do for with your interaction with bears.
Can I say one thing about bears?
Yeah.
Watch each other. We've had one instance where a guy was fishing and it was on the buskin, and the bear actually came from behind him and he had no idea. And I was across the river. Why do I always get stuck with the thing where people almost die? But again, it was an older gentleman and he was tall. The dude was like 6'8", and I'm sorry if you're all older. Sorry, Tim. You're pretty old. Look at you. But he couldn't walk very well. You know, he's just kind of sauntering, and this big old boar come right off the hill, and you know the I'm talking about, on the back side of Buskin, and I'm across the river, and wouldn't you know, another bear kicks out from the side. So he's only got one escape route to walk, and he can't walk. And these two bears are converging, and these two bears are going to hit head to head right on top of him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I had to tell the old man to jump in the river. And he literally did. He waded out in the river as far as he could, and he just, whoo! He just went over in the river. I waded out till I almost had water coming over top, and I grabbed him and drug him across the river right when those two bears walked right down on the spot where he was standing.
Who was that?
Oh, it was,
that was our group, because we were 30 minutes on the river that morning. He's
Yeah.
already had a drink.
Yeah, and I was like, I shouldn't have made that guy jump in the river. But then a local guy comes up to me and he goes, you made a good call. He's like, that was a really, really, really bad situation.
Oh.
Because the bears don't care about you. You just don't want to interfere their natural flow. Does that make sense? And so, yeah, that was, just look out for your buddies, because if they're fishing, they're not going to see a bear coming down or coming up river on them. So everybody just keep your eyes out.
I just went on the Facebook page this morning and I uploaded a link to the fishing game website about basically how to be prepared for fishing with bears. So check that out on the Facebook page. I also uploaded a study that was done in Alaska about how effective bear spray is. It's about 90% effective. The other 10%, maybe minor injuries. The biggest thing with bear spray is if it's in your pack, it's not going to do you a bit of good. And the other thing is, Sean knows, it doesn't taste very good if you get it in your face. So
Did you tell?
you
guys
can tell
see
the story.
video
That's your
of me-
story.
You guys see that video of me spraying a bear and the wind blew it back in my face? It's up on the YouTube. It's up on the Facebook and not YouTube website.
That's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So
Check the wind. Check
yeah.
the wind.
So I actually uploaded a picture of me fishing with a bear in the background, and you can see that I've got the bear spray literally right on my pack belt. So it just has to be accessible. Be familiar with how to use the bear spray. Usually there's a little cap that you have to pull back to release the trigger, and then you just push down on the trigger. Just be familiar with how the bear spray works.
Can I make a comment? If your trigger comes missing, which sometimes it comes off, you got to get rid of that bear spray. It's too dangerous. Okay? Find that trigger. If not, dispose of it, spray it out in the ocean like I did one year. Because if you don't have that trigger, that safety on the trigger, it's dangerous. Okay, you hurt somebody. So
that being said, like fishing with the bears, it's an amazing experience. It really is. It's surreal. For those of you that haven't experienced that, it'll be a highlight. Just give them respect, give them space, and just be prepared. But really, read the literature, the links that I posted on Facebook. It'll fill you in much more eloquently
Thanks for
than I
doing
am
that.
today.
Thank
So,
you.
okay.
I think you're up again because Sean already did his
Oh,
video.
did I do that? Oh, yeah. So we might as well just go right into river etiquette. So pretty much, if the river is busy, you want to give a 15 to 20 foot buffer between those that you're fishing with. If you're late to the party and you need to slide into the river, just talk to the people on either side of you. Make sure that they're cool with you sliding in there. Make sure that it's not going to cause any friction there. One of the things that I learned last year is if someone's fighting a fish, and I saw this happen, not from experience, but if someone's fighting a fish, don't cast over their line. Let them fight that fish. Just keep your line out of the water. It'll go fairly quickly. You'll get to enjoy a good fight. So Is there anything else river etiquette wise?
Well, just you guys, there's times when you catch a fish, you're in a spot, and you have to move out of your spot to catch a fish. You still should be able to. People will take your spot, and you can deal with that how you want. But if someone does that to you, just talk. Use your communication. Are you done? Because that might be their second fish, and they're done. Okay, if you're not, then no. Let them say, okay, this is your spot. I'll just move somewhere else. Just be really kind to treat them as the old golden rule fills in. Treat them as if how you want to be treated. Because I've had people step right into my spot, and it's just kind of, and I'm not done, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, but don't let it ruin your day because there's lots of fish to catch.
No.
So, okay.
Good job. Hey, I did want to say really quick on the pictures. Please, guys, who will commit with me at least once every other day? You'll upload your picture to the Facebook group page. Okay? Will you commit with right now? The reason I want you to do that is, guys, it's also great marketing. People, and it's helping the guys who are coming up after you. Wow. Okay, this is happening. It's giving them encouragement that you're catching fish. Please, if you don't know how to upload. If you don't know how to upload a picture to the Facebook group, go ask your 5-year-old granddaughter, okay? Ask your 5-year-old, she'll help you. All right, the other thing is,
there
okay.
cell service up there?
Yeah, oh yeah, except on Litnik. Oh.
Pretty much anywhere outside of the town of Kodiak, you don't have
Yeah,
it.
I forgot to mention, if you guys got satellite phones, or who knows what that InReach is. Do you have one? You have one, right, Eric? It's called InReach. I've bought one. He'll have to take it because we need some form of communication. Mine's satellite texting only. But if you guys want to get one for your group, your guide should have one. Something. If you're on Litnik, I'm uncomfortable because I've done that. No communication. When we first started going there, we had no way to call out. At least I can text out with the InReach, called Garmin InReach. It's only about that tall. I should have brought it. It's pretty cool. About $250. Okay, I haven't talked to my guides about this. Randy, here's my incentive. I want to incentivize you to get some cool video of a guy catching fish. And is this okay enough? If I deem, or if I might bring Randy on this, the other guides, which has the coolest video of someone bringing someone in a fish, you're going to get $500 off on your trip next year.
I'm in.
Okay? That's how important it is to me for you guys to videotape some guys bringing in a fish. Alan's got a fish on. Okay? Ryan, grab get it coming in and bringing it in.
I think I'll win because I'm going to be flying the drone.
Did you bring it?
Yep, right here.
So that, we'll have to take that one out. That'll make a cool picture though. If you get that fish jumping out of the water, that's going to be one of the key points. If it comes up out of the water and does this kind of thing, it's kind of cool. Okay, so $500 off on your next trip. You come up if we deem you have the coolest video. All right, we're coming down to the end, guys. We only got about an hour and a half left to go. Okay. Who's next?
Me.
Okay, go for it.
Real quick, it'll take just like 30 seconds. Just a reminder, these guys have helped Sean do some amazing work on the website. There's a lot of good info, some great videos on there. If you haven't watched them, run through and watch them real quick. You do have one that's on there twice. So I'll tell you later.
That must have been a new one, right? I
It
saw
says how to
that.
floss, and it's showing the Rapala up.
I saw that. Okay,
Okay.
we'll have to fix that.
Anyway, some really good info videos on there, especially tying knots, what to expect on the river. If you have questions, where do you ask them?
On the Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Call
yeah.
Sean personally.
Yeah. Call or text Sean. No, check the videos out on the website. There's also some of the YouTube videos on the YouTube channel that he's got. Some really good ones if you want to just go and see what the videos look like. Sean will tell you this. He didn't say it yet, but try and hold your phone if you're taking pictures horizontal. It's going to make your video a lot better. It'll make your pictures better. Vertical on all the pictures, right?
Oh yeah, vertical, straight up.
So,
Always.
One thing that I didn't cover, I don't know if you guys were going to cover real quick on packing boots. Chris's got his boots over here. Can't have felt-soled boots.
Gotta have the rubber soles.
Gotta be rubber soles.
And you said you're okay with studded rubber, right? In the vans and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It just gets tricky when you go into, because we'll go into restaurants or like, you just want to scrape up their floors. That's
Right.
well, actually the only reason I stopped doing mine, because I'll walk into Henry's over there with my waders on, and they will scratch the floor. But there's really only one spot that we have found up there that's just so slick.
The Litnick.
The Litnick on the upper, just on the upper part. It
Really
is slicker
slippery.
than snot.
Yep. For the most part, the others you're good with just the rubber. So that's it for me.
Okay, last thing, guys, is fighting a fish, and this kind of goes with the river etiquette. You know, he was talking about get your fish in quickly, use your drag. You don't want to run too tight of a drag because you'll snap fish off, even with 20-pound. But run enough drag that you can stop those fish, slow them down. So you're not just letting that fish run 100 yards one way, 100 yards the other way, and screwing everybody up on the river. Okay? So fight your fish quickly. The fish is in control in all reality, though. You just do everything you can to control them. Once you get the fish close to the shore, I had one guy yesterday say, "I can't find a net that I can take with me." I'm like, "Well, what are you doing? Why do you need a net? Don't bring a net to Alaska. You don't need it." Okay. What you're doing, fight that fish. When he starts getting tired, you'll know it. Trust me, every time a salmon comes into the shore, once he touches his belly on the rocks, you will know if he's done or not. Because the second he touches his belly on the rocks, that fish will turn and just gone. As soon as it hits its belly and it doesn't run, start backing up. Hold him tight, back him up. Chris or your buddy or whoever comes over, boom, kick that fish up on the rocks. If it's a keeper, okay? If not, get him in some shallow water, get down there, take a picture, release the hook, whatever it is, let him go.
Silvers have a nice handle. Their tail makes a really nice
They
handle.
do. They got a big tail on them, so you hold that tail tight and it's really nice.
And it's kind of wishboned out right there, so you can really get a good grip on their tail when you're...
But help each other out, because these fish are crazy. So when you have a chance to beach them, get them beached. So Sean's got a fish and you see him backing up, you know, okay, he's keeping that fish. Walk over there and boom, boot that thing 5 feet up on the
Better
rock.
ask him if he's going to keep it first.
Yeah,
Goes along talking. Hey, you keeping that fish? Okay.
exactly.
Help you out.
Rod position on fighting.
Yeah, rod position on fighting. Does anybody have questions? I mean, have y'all caught big fish before? No?
No.
Okay. Like Sean said, these hooks get in, they bury. Not very often do you lose a fish when the hook just spits out of his mouth. It happens, but these are 8-weight fly rods, medium weight spinning rods. They've got a lot of backbone to them. Bend them over, man. I've had times on my fly rod where I was like, "Oh, please hold, please hold," you know, because these fish are taking off running. But keep that rod tip about a 45. Don't point at your fish. What happens if you point at a fish? You might as well not even have a fly rod. You might as well not even have a rod in your hand,
Snap.
because that's your shock absorber. Okay, so keep that rod high. Don't get it too high. You get caught with your pants down if that fish runs at you. Okay, keep it up. Boom, nice bend, about 45 degrees in front of you. That way, if that fish runs, let him go, or you can catch up to him if you have to. I've got my reel up here. I've got my rod up here. If you guys want to look at them, the sizes. I'm sure most of you probably have your stuff by now, but if you don't, you can kind of see what I'm running and go from there. Any other questions regarding just the straight fishing part of things?
You said you don't use any tapered leaders, right?
I don't.
Just 6 feet.
I might put a
20
tapered
pound.
leader on to start, and then as it shortens, just hack it off and tie on 3 or 4 feet of extra leader. But this is all I use right here.
20-pound P line.
Floral clear.
So
20
fly
pounds.
fishing, how much leader are you going to put on?
Off
that?
your if 6,
Oh, okay.
9 feet at the
Yeah,
most.
okay,
I usually do the length of my rod.
If you're fishing real deep water,
yeah.
you know, there's times where we're fishing these holes that are super slow and the fish are stacked, you know, and you're just kind of waiting for one of the big silvers to come up, you know. You could get away with 2 feet. But if they're down deep and you're trying to twitch through that deep water, You know, just kind of play it by ear. The other thing Sean wanted me to touch on is this new technique we're going to be using this year called twitching. I've got a bunch of twitching jigs. We're going to try it on the Litnick and maybe on the American might work, maybe some of these faster rivers we fish. Just for fun, how many of you are bringing spin rods? Okay, so go on YouTube and look up twitching. Twitching for coho or twitching for silver, something like that, and watch some of these videos. It's a newer technique being developed.
It's pretty cool.
It's a really cool technique. Cohos respond to a lot of action.
Show one of your twitching.
They respond to a lot of action. So this is a twitching jig. It's just basically a 1/4 or 3/8 ounce ball jig tied up like any other fly. But on the twitching rod, what you do is you pitch it upstream and you let it move downstream through these holes, and you're constantly twitching it. Boom. And it's not just a little like bass twitch, man. You're getting with it. You're jumping this thing 2-3 feet as it goes down through these holes, and you're letting this thump the bottom as it goes down through. And you'll pick up those more aggressive salmon that way. Now, a couple other things as far as the salmon themselves. They have very good eyesight. They don't like you. They don't like seeing you. They don't like a lot of attention. They don't like a lot of people. So if you can be the first person on those fish when they get out in the ocean, you're best off. After day 2 or 3, it can get a little tiring, especially if your tide cycles end up to where you have a low tide with the incoming tide at 6 a.m. every day. And you end up trying to get out early every day to catch that incoming tide. It can get tiring. But if you can, you're going to have better success. You're always going to have better success on the incoming tide. We do floss quite a few fish on the slack tide, high tide, because a lot of those fish come in and they just kind of just mellow out in those holes. That's when flossing comes into effect.
Or we're going to try that twitching.
Or we're going to do the twitching. Flossing is a technique we'll show you guys. It's, what would put the best way? It's not pretty. You know, it's a harvest is what it is. You know, you're basically putting that fly in the fish's mouth and hooking them.
The reason I like to get up there early, and not so much, but incoming tide makes sense. But there's on the resting pools, and we know where they're at. Mm-hmm. On the resting pools, these fish, if they get pressured, they start getting closed mouths.
They do, big time.
But if you're first in the morning and you find a resting pool, you have a really good chance of catching a couple of fish in that hole.
We have
a really good chance. But if they get pressured,
the American's a good one, but Saloni is another one. Saloni is a river that, if you're with me for the week, we will be fishing it because it holds a good number of salmon and nobody fishes it. It's like the Provo River. It's about the size of the Provo River, maybe even smaller. And those fish will hold up against the banks. And last year, I had phenomenal success walking up the river a mile and a half, just nice, slow sauntering, pitching a wiggle bug all the way to the side and just stripping it through and watch those silvers come all the way out from the bank and snap. And that's not common. Don't get me wrong, it is not common, but the further away from the road we got, those fish were willing to come out and chase, and that's what you want. You will never forget your first fish that eats a wiggle bug. Trust me. Devin, am I wrong?
Not wrong at all.
We did not believe in these wiggle bugs. We were skeptical at best. And the very first year on the Litnick, I caught 1 or 2, and I was like, whoa, that was pretty cool. And then the second year, we were struggling. And me and Devin were sitting on a point on the Litnick, and Skylar was above us, and Eric was across, and you were flying your drone.
Yep.
And I looked at Devin and I said, I'm going to try this stupid wiggle bug. Because we had, first cast, just wham! And it turned out to probably be the coolest fishing day any of us will ever have in our lives.
talk to about the wiggle bug on a spin cast for that.
Wiggle bug on a spin cast, what we're going to do. How many of you have ever fished a fly in a bubble up on the high Uinta lakes? We're going to do that exact same thing. 3/4 of a bubble full. We're gonna put about a 4-foot leader, tie a wiggle bug on it, pitch it over top those salmon, beyond them, and then just reel that sucker in. You'll have to play with it to see what speed gets that wiggle bug. So the action of the wiggle bug, you want it to dig under the water, and it's just a constant left-right. It's pretty easy. You'll catch on really quick, but as soon as you get that action, you'll know you got it. It's gonna work. No ifs, ands, or buts. I know it's gonna work.
I'm gonna catch one before you guys get there on a spin cast rod with a bubble and a wiggle bug just to show you it can be done. And you'll have to play with it. Phil, if it's too much water in your bubble, take some out. Play with it. The leader's too long, too short. But sometimes they'll just float across the top. What do? You gotta.
And I think we had one guy catch it on it last year, because this was a technique that we kind of scratched our head with for a long time. But I think one guy caught one on the Litnik last year with a bubble.
We really hadn't started pushing it and encouraging it. We can do it.
Have patience with the wiggle bug, with your casting, with your fly fishing skills, because it'll take a little bit for you to get it. And get that wiggle bug out there and to get that action going. I had one guy last year that, bless his little pea-picking heart, he would not trust me. And I just murdered fish right next to him. And he's like, I just don't like that wiggle bug. I'm like, fine, I got another one on. Oh, I got another one on. And he didn't even limit out on the Litnik because he refused to fish them. And I was catching them left and right. So just have patience with it. It'll work. I know it'll work.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're talking flossing, can we talk about like where it's got to be stuck
Yes.
on their head?
And this goes back to with the fish cop thing.
Yes.
Okay. Alaska state rules is the fly has to be inside the mouth, you guys. That's the gospel. Okay? Trust me, you're going to see all sorts of people keeping snagged fish. You're going to see people, especially the locals in Kodiak. The locals in Kodiak, they're saying is gills forward. So if it's right here, they're keeping it. If it's right here, they're keeping it. I'm not your babysitter. Okay? If you get one on the corner of the mouth, I ain't questioning you. Keep it if you want it. I'm probably keeping a fish as long as I've got it right at the corner of his mouth. If the hook's going from the outside in, I'm not worrying about that. I'm not. Because nobody else is, and the fish cops are not going to throw a fit over that. I guess they could. But what I'm talking about is if you hook one on the tail, let it go. If you hook one in the back,
You'll
let it
want
go.
to because you'll fight it for. We'll waste 30 minutes fighting it on the tail.
You know,
It takes forever to get them in.
Don't be that guy that's like, oh, there's a silver. I'm going to hook it. You know, and you're just everything you can to hook it wherever you can hook it. Okay, good job. Have fun. Let it go. But try hard to do it right. Like I said, fish cops are always watching. They appreciate the people that are doing everything they can to abide with the law.
I don't know how the guys that do the Filipino slap, that's what I call it.
Yeah, it's the Filipino
How they get
slap.
away with it.
Yeah.
They
They'll see if, okay, you'll be in a stretch, a river, you know, as long as this park is, and those fish are down here and they're moving up through, and you got 15 guys fishing it, and they'll run the whole length right in front of you, just boom, just slapping that as a fish is running up the whole way.
They're trying to hook it in the head. Now I've done that,
And
but
it's-
I'm trying to floss it.
I'm about ready to start tripping those guys. Because they will do it, and we call it the Filipino slap because all the people that cut fish in Kodiak are Filipinos. And they just kind of do whatever they want. But they'll have a teeny little fly, they'll have a big old weight. It's flossing, don't get me wrong, it's flossing, but it's egregious.
I don't call it
It's
flossing.
it's way over the top, and yeah, you'll see it. So anyway, but yeah, guys, that's it. Who's going on the pheasant hunt? You guys signed up for that
We
yet?
got two groups. We got two groups that we're doing. We're going to do one in the fall and in the after January as well. But we got one group filled up. But we're going to do a second group. So make sure you go on the Facebook or let me know. Okay, who's going on that pheasant hunt?